implemented. The first pilot request under this new Burke program from Mayor Andy Burke, a proposal to bring $20 million apartment complex to the south side with units that are 100% for those with moderate incomes, is now the first pilot program, which is payment in lieu of taxes, under the new rules set up for the program by the Burke administration. Under the tighter new rules, the focus will go to affordable housing and likely away from downtown, where rents are continuing to rise as it becomes more popular with up-and-comers. The group is now asking for a 16-year tax abatement, and the group that's building the building, and it will pay about $60,000 per year on school taxes. The long vacant property across 20th Street from Finley Stadium now only pays about $3,800 per year in taxes. So this payment in lieu of taxes program is hoping to offer affordable housing for those who normally would not be able to live downtown. This, of course, on the tax system have not yet been tested. And 2 people have been arrested after a high-speed chase in Chattanooga. And it was found that one of them was carrying a weapon illegally, and another one was accused of stealing the car that had been driven from Walker County. Those 2 are now in custody in police hands. It's going on in Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
After this cool start with some patchy fog, expect lots of sunshine again for your Wednesday. A nice afternoon, highs warming into the upper 70s to around 80. Tonight, lows 50 to 52. For Thursday and Friday, continue dry, mostly sunny with high temperatures of around 80. Don't miss the 2016 Southeast appearance of the Air Force Thunderbirds at the Wings Over North Georgia Air Show and Concert Series, October 29th and 30th in Rome, Georgia. For tickets, wingsovernorthgeorgia.com. And I'm Sports Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things going, see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, seeing what my needs are. Gotten business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end, and we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard, and they always seem to be right on point, even without us having to come up with what's going to be said.
I've been doing business with News Talk Radio for quite some time. It's the best place and the best value you can get for your advertisement. The commercials are great. They're very professional. I was actually blown away.
The commercial that they put together was awesome. It was way far above all the other radio stations we've dealt with. The best we've had yet, guarantee you, by far.
AM 1240 HotNewsTalkRadio.com gets results. Let us get results for your business. For no obligation free consultation, call General Sales Manager Steve Johnson. Call 423-240-5459. That's 240-5459. Or you can always email Steve at NoogaRadiosteve@gmail.com. That's NoogaRadiosteve@gmail.com. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We get results.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Wednesday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 12th day of October. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning, starting with the campaign trail. Donald Trump is saying, quote, "The shackles have been taken off of me." As the Republican nominee embarks on the final 4 weeks of his campaign, Trump tweeted Tuesday that, quote, "It is so nice that the shackles have been taken off of me and I can now fight for America the way I want to." He explained what he meant on Fox News Channel's The O'Reilly Factor.
Well, we've been having the shackles are some of the establishment people that are weak and ineffective people within the Republican Party, senators and others, and Paul Ryan, led to a certain extent by Paul Ryan. They were holding nasty to the nominee. They were holding you back. Not question holding back, no, but they're not giving support. They don't give the kind of support. You know, we got more votes, more than 14 million votes, more than anybody in the history of the Republican primaries, Bill, and they don't give the support that we really need.
Okay,
now,
but I'm still confused.
I'm better off maybe without their support if you want to know the truth.
You might be, but I'm still confused. You say, okay, the shackles are off, and now I can really do what I want. I mean, what are you going to do that you haven't done? I mean, are you going to be more outspoken?
I don't think I'm that outspoken, to be honest with you, Bill. I think I'm not outspoken at all. No, I don't think. I think I've been very nice.
Well, it's not about being nice. I didn't say you weren't nice. I'm saying you're about as blunt as they come in political circles. That's why you won the primary.
I don't think so. Look,
no.
I went to Ivy League schools. I went,
So did I. And look at the big mouth on me.
I know, and look how we turned out.
Okay.
But the fact is that I think we should get support, and we don't get the support from guys like Paul Ryan. He had a conference call yesterday with congressmen, with hundreds of them, and they practically rioted against him on the phone. One person stuck up for him. So I'm just tired of non-support, and I don't really want to support. If he calls now and wants to, this happens all the time. If you sneeze, he calls up and announces. Isn't that a terrible thing? So look, I don't want his support. I don't care about his support. What I want to do is I want to win for the people.
Trump spent Tuesday morning attacking fellow Republicans on Twitter, most notably House Speaker Paul Ryan. The mother of a slain U.S. Army Captain Humayun Khan joining other Muslim American women in endorsing Hillary Clinton for president on Tuesday. In the announcement by the American Muslim Women Political Action Committee, Ghazala Khan and her husband Kaiser said Donald Trump lacks the temperament needed to become president.
I'm so proud today to be here. And I saw my daughters and my sisters. They are so strong. I'm really surprised that we don't have to do anything now. Here are our representatives. Here are the people that we depend on.
She took the hit for all of us. When Donald Trump said to her or about her, maybe she wasn't allowed to speak. I want to thank her for what she's done for all American Muslim women. And I think she didn't know what she was doing when she did it.
When we wrote the speech that I gave, guess who was the editor of that speech? Ghazala Khan was the editor of that speech. In our home, all decisions are taken by Ghazala Khan. I am only supporter of her. In Captain Humayun Khan, I always say that he was the embodiment of his mother.
Just hope that every Muslim man, woman, whoever have a right to vote, get up and vote. And we have to bring Hillary Clinton because we don't want Trump. That's my hope, that no Trump anymore.
He's pivoting this way, he's pivoting that way. The reason is that person has no character, person has no caliber, person has no temperament to be the president of this country.
At Sunday's presidential debate, Trump called Khan's son an American hero who said he'd still be alive if Trump were president in 2004. It came after Trump attacked the family following their speech at the Democratic National Convention. Now, the U.S. is weighing what military response it should take against Houthi rebels based in Yemen. Officials say they launched 2 missiles at American warships in the Red Sea Sunday. A Pentagon spokesperson says the U.S. is investigating the unprecedented incident, including the exact location of the launches. State Department spokesperson John Kirby said Tuesday the U.S. is also trying to get political talks back on track.
It's a little bit more porous situation in terms of diplomacy there in Yemen. What I can tell you, and you saw this, I think, in the statement that was put out after the strike, that here at the State Department in particular, we are continue to call on all parties to get to a ceasefire, stop the violence, de-escalate the tensions, and let's start moving towards a political track. And we're going to continue to work as best we can with and through the UN Special Envoy to that end. So, yeah, there's diplomatic efforts here, but it's not without its challenges, obviously, in a place like Yemen. We made a very public call for all parties to de-escalate the tensions and stop the violence, obviously, to cease this kind of an attack. And we're going to continue to work by and through the UN Special Envoy as he tries to get a cessation of hostilities in place and to get political talks back on track.
U.S. officials think Iranian-backed Houthis launched a variant of the so-called Silkworm missile at the USS Mason and the USS Ponce. Both fell harmlessly into the water. That's Silkworm, a type of coastal defense cruise missile Iran has been known to use. Hurricane Matthew impaired or destroyed more than 1 million structures, forced businesses from Florida to North Carolina to close, and put thousands temporarily out of work. That estimate from Goldman Sachs. Goldman says the storm probably caused $10 billion in damage overall. Insurance companies will likely be liable for about $4 to $6 billion of that total, according to an estimate Saturday by CoreLogic. That's a real estate data provider. In many affected areas, small business owners were still assessing damage, but figures suggest Matthew's effect on the broader national economy will be minimal. Though damage estimates are usually revised higher after more comprehensive assessments, the current figures would still make Matthew the 22nd worst storm since World War II. Now, Toyota is recalling 340,000 gas-electric hybrid Prius cars for a defect in their parking brakes. Toyota says it's received reports of crashes, injuries, even deaths. The Japanese automaker says 94 of the 1,000 vehicles are in North America, 212,000 in Japan. Toyota says the parking brake cable can disengage, causing the brakes to stop working. And it sounds like living the dream, an old lighthouse with a great water view, but Lou Schillinger warns old lighthouses can be money pits, not to mention all the bird do. He and his dad had to remove 30 years worth of gull and pigeon droppings when they started restoring an 1890s lighthouse on Lake Huron in Michigan. That was in the mid-1980s. A nonprofit group took title of the castle in the lake lighthouse in 2013. About 120 surplus U.S. lighthouses have been sold to individuals or turned over to nonprofits. Terry Pepper of the Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association says spending $100,000 on a lighthouse renovation is just a drop in the bucket. If you're traveling and cannot find us in your area, we stream live at TalkStreamLive.com. More breaking news on the Wellness Wednesday morning. It is the 12th day of October. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:27. Good morning. It's 52 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Warming up today, getting up to 80 degrees today for our high and 52 for the low. Thursday, warming up again yet more with 83 for the high and 58 for the low. Clear on Thursday. Friday, 79 the high, 62 the low. Mostly cloudy on Friday with some rain possible. And then Saturday, this weekend here, we are getting possibly a little bit of rain, which is definitely a good sign for us because there are quite a few wildfires that are still ongoing on Walden's Ridge, and we're expecting these warmer temperatures and this rain to help alleviate that situation. We'll keep you updated on that. But right now, rain is expected Friday and Saturday. That's from the weather format that we're looking at right now, the weather models we're looking at right now. We're expecting some rain. We'll keep you updated. We're going to go to Mike Wood now from the Hot News Talk Radio Traffic Center. Good morning, Mike. Take it away.
Good morning, Russell. Brainerd Road. Let's start there in front of the Arby's with an accident. Northbound 153 at Lee Highway. Very heavy through there. An earlier accident. One on Riverside Drive at Amnicola. Amnicola at Judd Road. We've got one with injuries as well. Amnicola really backed up this morning. 27 North at Manufacturers right now. We are working an accident there this morning as well. Ringo Road at Spring Creek, we had some injuries there on an accident just a little bit ago. Russell, 153 northbound at Lee Highway, we talked about. Let's see, I'm checking back with TDOT right now to see if they're out on anything else. It looks like they are fairly clear right now. TDOT cameras, for the most part, in pretty good shape. I noticed the 7524 looking pretty good for you so far this morning. Mike Wood in the traffic center. Hot News Talk Radio here, AM 1240.
2 people have been arrested after a high-speed chase with police and shots fired. And now these 2 suspects have been arrested. One discovered to be a member of a gang. The Bounty Hunter Bloods, apparently, is the name of that gang. And a police officer was almost injured. Charges have been filed on in Grundy County. Or rather, on a man named Grundy. That's confusing. The man's name is Grundy. Were evading arrest, tampering with or fabricating evidence, altering of an item's personal permanent number, theft of property, possession of a firearm during commission or attempt to commit a crime, plus 2 additional charges. And there are quite a few other charges going towards Trammell, who is the suspected gang member for the Bounty Hunter Blood gangs. The Kendrick Trammell, who's 22, is his name. And the alteration of a permanent number, by the way, is because they're accused of scraping off the serial number from a gun indicating that it could possibly have been stolen. The car that was involved in the case was a silver Hyundai Elantra that very well may have been stolen as well, according to the police. As more details are still coming out, we'll let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com as well. The sentencing hearing happened yesterday for the 3 former Ottawa students who were sentenced in this rape case on Tuesday, and the sentencing was surprising to many members of the community for how lax they perceived it to be. The 3 former Ottawa High School students convicted for their roles in the rape of a freshman player. Beer County Juvenile Court on Tuesday, cameras and press were not allowed inside the courtroom. The teenager was convicted of aggravated rape and aggravated assault. He was 17 at the time of the incident. He's 18 now. 2 other students, each were convicted of aggravated assault, received an additional 60 days in a juvenile detention center. They were found guilty of aggravated assault. Commented on what happened inside the courtroom. Nobody's wanting to talk about what conversations happened inside the courtroom for an undiscernible reason. And a fire broke out at a townhome complex. It appeared to start at the end of a unit and continued through several of the other units. It estimated to be about $150,000, and the Chattanooga Fire Department went to the scene to put out the fire, and it finally was put out at about 6:27 p.m., about 5:26. So just about an hour the fire was blazing before firefighters were finally able to put it out with their great work. If it's going on the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Think of markets falling so rapidly that there are no buyers. When the debt bubble pops, that's what'll happen. The good people, as I call them, will tumble down into their own trap. Join me, David Tulis, each weekday at 9. Together, let's consider solutions to national breakdown. Where do you fit in? Can you preserve capital? Increase it even among family members and small businesses here in Chattanooga. 9 o'clock, David Tulis, Hot News Talk Radio. Can we wring opportunity from calamity? Will Chattanoogans prosper amid the death of centralization and its legacy system with its Yankee presidents, 1040 forms, foreign wars, death mills, soul-killing schools, and its grinding the poor court systems? Nooga centrists such as I say yes. We say near is better than far, small better than big, personal than corporate, physical than abstract. Could these claims possibly be true? Are they seeds for future plantings and harvests? Let's find out. David Tulis, 9 weekdays.
Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things going, see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, seeing what my needs are. Gotten business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end. And we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard. And they always seem to be right on point, even without us having to come up with what's going to be said.
Been doing business with News Talk Radio for quite some time. It's the best place and the best value you can get for your advertisement. The commercials are great. They're very professional. I was actually blown away.
The commercial that they put together was awesome. It was way far above all the other radio stations we've dealt with. The best we've had yet, I guarantee you, by far.
AM 1240 HotNewsTalkRadio.com gets results. Let us get results for your business. For no obligation free consultation, call General Sales Manager Steve Johnson. Call 423-240-5459. That's 240-5459. Or you can always email Steve at NoogaRadioSteve@gmail.com. That's NoogaRadioSteve@gmail.com. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We get results.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR.
Military response to missiles fired at a Navy destroyer.
Javier Baez with an RBI single has given the Cubs a 6-5 lead.
The Cubs advance and the Dodgers stay alive. We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start on the campaign trail. Republican Donald Trump says it would be pretty sad if he loses the election because of a 2005 tape that shows him bragging about being able to grope women because he's famous. The GOP nominee said Tuesday he still expects women to put him over the top.
Well, first of all, locker room talk, and most people have heard it before, and I've had a lot of women come up to me and said, boy, I've heard that, and I've heard a lot worse than that over my life. And, you know, if that's why I'm going to lose an election to get rid of ISIS and to create strong borders and rebuild our military and do all the things we're going to do, including Supreme Court judges and saving the Second Amendment because it's under siege with Hillary Clinton, or as I call her, crooked Hillary, which is what she is. If that's what's going to take to lose an election, that would be pretty sad. Then I have to go back to my other life. But I'll tell you what, I think we're going to win the election, Bill. I think we're going to win the election. People are tired. You're going to stay tired of Obama and they're tired of Clinton.
Women are the key to this. You're winning with men, all right? And I think you will continue to win with men. But women
winning with men big.
You're behind with women. Are you going to target?
I'm not sure I believe it.
Whether you believe it or not, that's what the polling says.
Yeah.
Do you have any plan to speak to women directly or to target them with ads or anything like that?
I do, but what women want, we do the child care program that really Ivanka wanted very, very much. My daughter Ivanka wanted it, and I agreed with her 100%. But what women want is they want secure borders, they want safety, they want law and order, they want a police department that's allowed to do its job. They want justice for all. They want a lot of things that everybody else wants, and Hillary Clinton can't do it. She's been doing this stuff for 30 years, and she's failed every single time.
Trump making the comments on Fox News channels The O'Reilly Factor. Meanwhile, President Barack Obama is stumping for Clinton. He landed in the middle of this year's convulsive presidential campaign in North Carolina. At a rally for Clinton yesterday, Obama delivered a sharp indictment of Republicans who continue to support Trump's bid for the White House. And he said Trump lacked the temperament to be president.
We've got a choice right now between somebody who is as qualified as has ever run for the office of president and somebody who over and over again has proven himself unfit to represent this country. Look, Democrats and Republicans, we've always had our differences. That's the nature of a democracy. There's nothing wrong with that. When I was running against John McCain, when I was running against Mitt Romney, we had serious disagreements on the economy and on foreign policy and on social issues. And those elections were close and contested, and we had debates. But the truth is, although obviously I believed that the agenda that we set was the better agenda for America, I never thought that those people were not honorable. I did not think that if they were in the Oval Office, that America would spin out of control. I didn't think that they couldn't represent us on the world stage. I just thought they represented a different political party and a different philosophy. But and I'm being honest here, that is not the case with the current Republican nominee. You don't have to be a husband or a father to hear what we heard just a few days ago and say, that's not right. You just have to be a decent human being to say that's not right. And if it makes you mad, if you say that's not somebody I want representing the United States of America, you can do something about it, North Carolina.
Now, during that speech, supporters of Donald Trump repeatedly interrupted and heckled the president. Taking a look at the markets, here's today's Money Metals Minute, brought to you by moneymetals.com. Investors were in a selling mood yesterday as the fear of higher interest rates continues to grow. Gold and silver finished lower, as did Treasury bonds. For the first time since the FOMC's September meeting, U.S. stock markets seem to take the threat of rising rates seriously. The S&P 500 losing more than 1%, the biggest sell-off in a month. Stocks were also challenged by a poor launch to third quarter earnings. Today, the Fed releases the minutes from the most recent FOMC meeting, and investors will be poring over them for clues about whether a rate hike is actually on the way. Live prices at moneymetals.com show gold currently trading at $1,255.70 per ounce on the global market. Silver comes in at $17.53. Now here's a special report from Mike Gleason at Money Metals Exchange.
It is my privilege now to be joined by David Smith, senior analyst at the Morgan Reports and regular contributor to moneymetals.com. David, it's great to talk to you again and welcome back.
So it's always good to be back, Mike, and we're in momentous and interesting times right now with the metals and the miners.
Now, when we had you on back in July, you were calling for a pullback, and after not seeing much deviation from the range trades that persisted in the 2+ months since that conversation, we finally saw the range broken to the downside here this week. So we are finally getting that correction, just like you had predicted. So before we get into what a great opportunity that this is presenting to metals investors, give us your thoughts on what's driving the correction here. Is it just technical selling that's driving this now that we've taken out support levels? And then do you think it's going to be short-lived, or do you see more downside to come?
Well, Mike, I think a lot of us were looking for a potential correction from May on, really, because this has been an historic rise in the mining stocks and to a lesser extent the metals themselves. But there was kind of like rope-a-dope going on the last couple of months before this thing finally hit, and it looked like, this could be a correction and it would go on up and make a new high. And that's the sort of thing that shakes a lot of people out. Well, we finally got it. I think this is what we've been waiting for and hoping for until it came here at any rate. But it is the pause that refreshes, and it's painful now, but it's important for people to realize that if we don't have something like this and it goes up vertically and gets out of control, then it's going to crash and burn the same way. So if we, which I think most of us believe will happen and we want to see, if we want to see an enduring market in the gold and silver and the mining stocks that lasts for several years, we need to have these type of a consolidation and retracement in order to shake out the weak hands. This is what Mr. Market does. And then it consolidates and makes a new platform and then goes off on its way up again.
Now, I want to get into your most recent article here from moneymetals.com where you talk about how 2017 is going to bring about a public recognition phase for gold and silver in your view. Give us some insights into your thinking there. What will cause the average investor to get precious metals religion next year, David?
Well, I think if you look at how bull markets get started, regardless of what the product is, it's going to be a bull market. Usually the public doesn't pay attention for about a year after it gets started. And then they kind of start seeing more positive articles. Their gurus start talking about it, and they look at charts and things like this, and they start getting interested. And it's kind of funny. People tend to get interested once the price has risen quite a bit, most people. And so they don't want to buy when it's on sale because it could go lower, but they don't think that if it's high, they could go higher. They assume that will happen, and then they start coming in. So I think next year, because of the culmination of a lot of the problems that we've had that are getting harder and harder to cover up at the international level, I think people are going to start seeing that they really need to hold some gold and silver if they don't have it, or even add to it, because this business of trying to move everybody into digital transactions where you don't use cash at all for things, all this is a control technique on the part of governments around the world, because they can track everything you do, and if they want to have negative interest rates, they can debit your account and things like this. And so gold and silver are even more important now than they've ever been before, as we have this move by governments to restrict our ability to have some kind of privacy.
And that was Mike Gleason at Money Metals Exchange. If you're traveling and can't find us in your area, we stream live at TalkStreamLive.com. America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:44. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Russell, we are backing up on 24 eastbound between Cummings Highway and Browns Ferry. An accident, no injuries, but some really heavy traffic and getting very congested. We may have a lane block there as well. 153 northbound Lee Highway, still very heavy from an earlier accident there, Russell. Riverside Drive at Amnicola, an accident there. Amnicola's been very busy for us for the last hour and a half or so as well. Ringgold Road at Spring Creek Road, we've got injuries on an accident there right now as well. We talked earlier about a train derailment, Bailey Avenue between Central and Holtzclaw. About 10 railroad cars derailed because of that. So that area is going to be pretty busy for a while as well. Mike Wood in the Traffic Center, Hot News Talk Radio here, of course, AM 1240.
54 degrees in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center, getting up to 80 degrees today for our high here in Chattanooga, 52 for the low today. And we are expecting later on temperatures to get up into the upper 80s by next week. And temperatures are definitely going to be warming up next week compared to this week. Next week in lows in the 60s, warmer compared to this week especially. Tomorrow, 83 for the high, 58 the low, not bad at all. But then Friday, 79 for the high and 62 for the low. Mostly cloudy on Friday, really cooling off on Friday. Saturday, 78 the high and 58 the low, partly cloudy on Saturday. And then next week, again, highs in the mid-80s. We are expecting some rain on Friday and Saturday, which is a good sign for us because we have quite a few forest fires going on right now here in the Chattanooga area. And next week, more rain is possible with rain expected on Thursday and Friday of next week again. So it looks like rainy weekends here pretty consistently this week and next week, assuming that the weather models stay consistent, because that's one thing that you can't really count on is weather models. But we'll hope that they stay consistent. We'll let you know if anything changes here. Center, AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, hotnewstalkradio.com as well. The 3 former students at Ooltewah High School who are accused in the Ooltewah High School rape case have had their sentencing hearing yesterday, and no cameras were allowed inside the courtroom on the order of the judge inside. This is still a juvenile case, despite one of the defendants now being 18 years old. That 18-year-old defendant was sentenced to be in custody until November the 21st. He's not been released from custody until his arrest back in December. And the 2 17-year-olds, both are accused of aggravated assault and have, in fact, been convicted of aggravated assault, will be in custody for quite a long time now, actually. The additional 60 days is the sentence that was handed down by the judge. Neither side is commenting on what exactly happened inside the courtroom, and so we're not certain why the sentencing was for November the 21st. Possibly the time served plays a role here. We'll keep you updated, and some family members are quite upset about they're perceiving it as a short sentencing. 2 people have been arrested now after shots fired in a high-speed pursuit downtown at the MAPCO on Rossville Boulevard. Witnesses say that one man was firing shots at someone else at the MAPCO, apparently a possible drive-by shooting, and one saw a passenger throw something out of the car window while they were speeding off in their silver Hyundai Elantra. The police quickly gave chase after they spotted the car driving past them, whizzing past them very quickly. The officers gave chase, and the car eventually stopped, and one man jumped out and ran away. He's been identified as DeKendrick Trammell, who's 22, apparently a member of the Bounty Hunter Bloods gangs. He's a validated member, according to police. And Jubal Grundy, who's 26. The vehicle they were driving in was apparently stolen from Walker County, and a Taurus 9mm handgun was found inside, which had a serial number scraped off, leading to a charge of tampering with an item's permanent number. Quite a few charges pressed against these men. In fact, over 8 charges pressed against one man and several more pressed against another. They're going to be in prison possibly for a very long time if all of these charges are convicted. If it's going on in Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Make sure you get us on the TuneIn Radio app and like us on Facebook.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After the school start with some patchy fog, expect lots of sunshine again for your Wednesday. A nice afternoon, highs warming into the upper 70s to around 80. Tonight, lows 50 to 52. For Thursday and Friday, continue dry, mostly sunny with high temperatures of around 80. Don't miss the 2016 Southeast appearance of the Air Force Thunderbirds at the Wings Over North Georgia Air Show and Concert Series, October 29th and 30th in Rome, Georgia. For tickets, wingsovernorthgeorgia.com. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabe.
Hey-ho, silver, away!
The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is.
Hey-ho, silver, away!
Hot News Talk 1240.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Wednesday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 12th day of October. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning. The Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs is reviewing the proposed defense to repayment regulations rule that would allow, well, basically a bailout of the education system. Let's bring in our regular guest, Phil Kerpen with American Commitment, joins us from time to time here on America's Morning News, the website americancommitment.org. Hey, Phil, how are you on this Wednesday morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. You guys are part of a coalition of 12 national taxpayer groups. Look, you guys want an independent analysis of this defense to repayment regulations rule. We've talked about this extensively in the past. What's the latest on this, though?
Well, we had this meeting on Friday, and it was kind of interesting because, we sat down with a representative from the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs that's reviewing the rule. They had the Department of Education and the White House on the phone, and I really let them have it. The idea that they're going to, by regulatory decree, dump, billions and billions of dollars of student loans onto taxpayers, I find completely outrageous, especially the fact that they want to do it without a vote of Congress, and especially the fact that they want to do it with a comically inadequate cost estimate. Their official cost estimate for this is that it's going to cost between $2 billion and $43 billion for taxpayers. And so I said to this woman, she was a very nice woman, but I said, look, if you have a leak in your roof and you had a contractor come out and look at it and you asked for an estimate before you move forward with any work, and the guy said it's going to cost between $2,000 and $43,000. Do you want me to start the work? You say, what are you, crazy? You say, I need a little bit more accurate estimate than that if I'm going to move forward. And yet that's the kind of range they're dealing with on the cost of this, except it's billions of dollars. And I pointed out that the president's own regulatory review executive order requires the most accurate cost estimate possible. I said, how can this be the most accurate estimate possible when you have this absurd, comically large range? And I quoted a previous administrator of the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs that they obviously hadn't done the required rigorous analysis on this rule. And I basically said, if you approve this, what would you ever reject? Why does your office even exist? And I also asked the kind of the most interesting points. I read some comments from some of our members who were outraged as taxpayers they're going to be forced to bail out bad student loans. And I said, what do you want me to tell the taxpayers? They're going to have to pay for this. How do I explain to them how it's fair that they're going to pay for other people's bad student loans under this rule by the billions? And she didn't answer. She was silent. And I said, no, really, I want to know what to tell them because I don't know what to tell them. And she said, well, I'm only here to listen. So I hope she did listen. And we're doing what we can on this, but I'm not optimistic because it's a political priority of the president, and I think that's going to override any kind of common sense analysis here.
Yeah, well, what about Congress's involvement in this, if any?
Well, they've issued some press releases saying they're very upset about it, and that's about it. And I really hope that if this thing it continues on the track I think it's on, that Congress will step in and stop it. But they're gone until the election right now, and so they'd have to try to put it in the spending bill when they get back after the election to try to stop it. But everything is backwards now. Instead of Congress spending money on things and the executive branch implementing those things, we've got the executive branch spending money, and we're hoping that Congress can somehow step in and stop them. So the whole Constitution is turned on its head here.
The other big story this week, WikiLeaks. We're learning a lot about the Clinton campaign. Clinton's top advisor, John Podesta, in particular. Yesterday, he accused a longtime Donald Trump aide of getting advanced warning about WikiLeaks hacking into Podesta's private email accounts, publishing the information. He's talking about Roger Stone calling the allegations categorically false and without foundation. Podesta says the FBI is looking into this. He didn't deny any of the emails, but he did say Russian hackers have been known to doctor documents. What's the biggest thing what's the most alarming thing that you've seen from the WikiLeaks dump?
Well, first of all, no document ever posted on WikiLeaks has had its authenticity disputed. And so it's true that in theory they could flip fake documents in there. There's just no evidence that's ever happened. And so as far as we know, and as far as I can tell, these are all legitimate emails that were sent and received by Podesta. Personally, my favorite thing in there was the inventor of subprime mortgage lending, Martin Eakes, called me a twerp. So I enjoyed that. But in the more significant, grander scheme of things, I think the two most significant emails relate to paid speeches that Hillary Clinton gave. Remember, she gave over $20 million of paid speeches in just 2 years at about $225,000 an hour. And one of them, which came up in the debate, she told Goldman Sachs that it's very important to have a public position and a private position, because if the public knew all the things you were doing in private, they'd be very outraged and so forth. And I think you need to read that in conjunction with another speech she gave to a New York conference of Brazilian bankers from Banco Itaú, where she said that her dream, her vision is for a hemispheric free trade and free immigration zone for the entire Western Hemisphere, powered by green energy. And I thought that was very, very interesting, given the contours of the campaign that we've had right now, where her public position is sort of very skeptical of trade, and she insists that she would enforce border security. And it appears that those public positions are completely at odds with what she actually thinks in private. And I think we're going to see more about that from Donald Trump, given his main campaign themes and so forth. And the other thing that came out yesterday I thought was sort of an incredible bombshell was Donna Brazile, Podesta, that from time to time she gets the questions in advance for the town halls. And in fact, she gave a question for the March 13th town hall with Hillary and Bernie Sanders, that it would be about the death penalty in Ohio. And she gave almost the exact question. The order of the sentences was switched around, but it was almost the exact question that was asked the next day at this town hall. And so you really have to wonder the extent to which some of these debates and these media events, these joint town halls and so forth, are helping the Hillary people, giving questions in advance, which seemed kind of like a conspiracy theory when people were claiming it, but now we have proof that on at least one occasion it happened.
Yeah. Well, maybe Abe Lincoln did it. We appreciate your time.
All right.
All right, Phil, we'll talk to you again here. That's Phil Kerpen with American Commitment. The website is americancommitment.org. You can find out more information there. If you're traveling and cannot find us in your area, we stream live at talkstreamlive.com. We are also on the TalkStream Live mobile app and the TuneIn app. You can always reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook, both at Matt Ray Talk. Use the hashtag AMN. Imagine leaked documents, sifting through them and finding out somebody called you a twerp in them. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now, 805-9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero is renting, which costs too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this, $180,000 home with zero down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and one phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy. Chattanooga. CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapani. It's bad and getting worse in Greenville, North Carolina. The rising Tar River won't crest until early tomorrow, but city spokesman Brock Letchworth says it's already making its move.
You can actually see the water moving. You can see the water creeping in. Homes underwater, you got vehicles underwater.
Officials in Greenville and Kinston, North Carolina are going door to door telling people to leave while they can. CBS's Mark Strassman has the latest on another city hit hard by Hurricane Matthew.
They're still finding people in homes in Lumberton, many of them elderly or with physical issues, couldn't get out on their own, and bringing them to safety. And the nearby Lumber River, which is at 3 times its normal level, is still rising and won't crest until Friday.
The hurricane has killed 35 people in 4 southeastern states. A survey by USA Today found that a quarter of all Republican office holders nationwide have cut ties to Donald Trump. Reporter Paul Singer.